KBLA Talk 1580. It's a great time to call me. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. Yes, indeed. It's chilly out here on the West Coast. How is it where you are? Look, the candidates are gone, and there's plenty of space for you to talk about it, unpack the election, or talk about something completely different, random, of interest to you. Like what the heck is going on Twitter? I see they haven't tweeted. Twitter hasn't tweeted for almost a month. Their last tweet was 10/13. Elon Musk is tweeting all the time, but Twitter hasn't tweeted. Does that mean he fired the Twitter tweeter? I'm just wondering because, it's not up to date. It's interesting, too. I was on their blue page just looking, and apparently anyone can get a check mark now for $8 a month. So how are we going to know who's really who they say they are? We'll see. Elon Musk retweeted a tweet that says, update on our efforts to combat hateful conduct. We not only mitigated the recent surge in harmful behavior, but have reduced impressions on this content in search by 95% relative to even prior baseline levels. Does that include the hateful content that is being tweeted by the owner of the app? I'm just asking. And I'm not asking for a friend, by the way. We do have a lot to talk about, as always. I think it's important to note, we were talking about it more on a local level, but I think it's important to note that it was a really good election, not just for Democrats. When you look at the traditional losses that the party holding the White House has in midterm elections, Democrats did very, very well. There's a chance that we could hold the Senate, a chance. And it looks like, that Republicans probably will take the House, but by a slim margin, a vote or two. So that's actually really good. Under any circumstances. Never mind when folks try to tell you that there's a red wave. So right now there are 3 seats in play still in the Senate, and Republicans have 49 of them, and Democrats have 48. So again, even if Republicans were to take the Senate, it's possible that could happen. It would be by a vote or two at most. So this is actually really great news from the perspective of what is traditional in politics, and definitely from the perspective of a so-called red wave. So now all the papers and opinion makers are scrambling to see why. And I would argue, I think there's more than one reason, but I think Roe v. Wade is a big part of it. The fact that women weren't announcing on their Twitter pages or walking around with T-shirts, women and our allies, saying, we're really mad and we're going to vote you out of power because of Roe v. Wade, doesn't mean we weren't going to do it. And when I heard LaFonza Butler from Emily's List talking about how many tens of thousands of women registered to vote that were never registered in many, many different states, that made me think, we're not going to forget. It's like if you diss a woman, say you don't show up when you said you were going to show up, you think she's going to forget in a month or 2 or 3? No. We might not be talking about it, but we remember. And we will take appropriate measures to counteract whatever happens. I think that's a big part of it. I think part of it is the fact, as Areva Martin said on yesterday, that Republicans had all of these things they were criticizing. Yeah, the economy's bad and, all of these things they were criticizing, but no plan to fix it. Just a lot of criticisms. And I feel like a lot of folks need concrete solutions. And then the Looney Tunes nature of many of the things that the MAGA Republican folks continue to say and do may be wearing thin. I know it's still a powerful force on the political landscape of America, but some of it is wearing thin. Some of it is clownish. Some of it seems problematic, more problematic when you're trying to think about how to keep the lights on and the heater on this winter with high prices, how to put enough gas in your car to get from point A to point B. I don't know if people received and understood the message that when you have inflation globally, you can't really just blame an American president. You expect your American president to do everything he or she can to fix it, but you can't put it all on them. When people in Britain are trying to figure out how to pay their heater bills, and from what I understand, in Russia and other parts of the world, folks are chopping up their furniture and burning it to stay warm, which has created a new concern about pollution. Because, you know, when you burn wood, especially if it's wood covered with all the stuff we cover our furniture with, but any wood, it creates greenhouse gases. So if everyone starts chopping up their furniture because they can't afford to keep their heater on, that's a problem from the perspective of the climate crisis, of saving the planet. I feel like there's many reasons, but I think for me, I'm taking a little "I told you so" laugh inside my brain, because one of the things I say a lot, and I know you've heard me say this, is that the Democratic Party is constantly saying this talking point that Democrats have moved too far to the left, or the progressive wing of the party is losing us elections. And in reality, this midterm showed that what I've been saying is true. It's just the opposite. Progressives are the ones energizing the party. Progressive policies are bringing young people into the Democratic Party, and taking those policy items, placing them on the mainstream Democratic agenda, makes Democrats win. Let's look at the student loan forgiveness. If you don't think that boosted Democrats in the midterms, you're just wrong. You're wrong. Everyone was talking about it. It mobilizes young voters. So what I've been saying all along is that progressives are where the progress is for the Democratic Party, where the energy is, where the winning is. I'll tell you more about that when we come forward. This is KBLA Talk 1580. We're unapologetically progressive.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Roll out the all-new Gardena Nissan. With any new or pre-owned car at Gardena Nissan. They're located conveniently on Redondo Beach Boulevard at Western, and they specialize in helping folks out who have no credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, or repos. The folks at Gardena Nissan will take fantastic care of you and help you get into the car you need and deserve at a spectacular price. Visit them today or shop online at GardenaNissan.com. The all-new Gardena Nissan is proud to be a partner of KBLA, and right now during their fall sales event, Zero Down delivers any new or pre-owned car at Gardena Nissan. For the best deals, log on to GardenaNissan.com. Zero Down on approved credit. GardenaNissan.com. Roll out.
Did you know fixing outdoor leaks can save 27 to 90 gallons of water per day? Even tiny leaks can be huge water wasters. Conserving water starts with a few simple water-saving actions at home and in your yard, like adjusting your sprinklers and adding drip irrigation so you water only where it's needed. We can all do our part to conserve water. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more water-saving tips. Save water, save California.
Open enrollment for medical insurance is here. RHJ Insurance Agency can help you find affordable rates and the plan that's just right for you and your family. Call 562-204-6120 for your free quote. Don't leave your health to chance. Open enrollment is here, and affordable coverage is just a phone call away. Call 562-204-6120 for your free quote and get the coverage you need. Go to www.rhjins.com.
It's Pro Time, which means at Lowe's, you're invited to enjoy a Lowe's Pro Happy Hour. Kick back with free Pepsi-Cola drinks and Frito-Lay snacks. Plus, earn 3 times bonus points per dollar on purchases of select Pepsi products. Come into Lowe's and get the full MVP treatment at Pro Happy Hour on November 17th from 2 to 5 p.m. While supplies last. Bonus points offer valid 10/27 through 12/8, calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty terms.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only. Get everything you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Wow, that is crazy that the Senate, the whole control of the Senate, could come down to a runoff election between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. It's hard to say. I don't know Georgia politics well enough to know if this runoff favors Walker or if it favors Warnock. But I know one thing. I and other Democrats across the country are going to be sending money to Warnock and doing everything we can, and he'll have the full attention of Democrats because that's, should it come down to that, there's 3 spots open right now. So if Republicans take 2 of them, then it's a much different picture. But this could all come down to, in other words, if Republicans take 2 seats right now, then they have control of the Senate, whether or not Walker wins. But if Democrats are able to get to the control of the Senate, will come down to that seat, which is really wild, or even the 50-50, the possibility of a 50-50. That basically Herschel Walker holds the fate of the Republican Party control of the Senate in his hands is insane, just unthinkable. Truth stranger than fiction. I want to remind my LA KBLA delegation that the mayor's race is not settled. The whole city is going to have to wait until we finish counting all the ballots. And it is basically tied, statistically tied right now. So even though, you're hearing, Caruso has a slight lead. Yeah, it's a slight lead within the margin of error, certainly very small lead. Now, that small lead, should it hold up, would make him the winner, right? You just need 50% plus 1. But we ain't there yet. We have a lot of ballots to count. Those numbers are based on 14% of the votes, which means 86% of the votes have not yet been counted. So quit moping around. Do something productive. It's too late to vote. You could go volunteer for Raphael Warnock, I guess. He's got their runoff is December 6th, the day after we finish counting. We may finish before then, but before the last day of counting for the Los Angeles election. So much is still unknown. And there's some just delightful surprises in this midterm election. I thought it was delightful that, progressives did so well, even though Republicans look like they are going to take control of the House of Representatives. They haven't done it yet. They have 210 House seats so far. They need 218 to get control of the House, making Kevin McCarthy the new House Speaker, replacing Nancy Pelosi. Let us pray that doesn't happen. But there's still 33 more seats to count, to be accounted for. I thought it was a delightful surprise that Lauren Boebert, the congresswoman, the far right-wing prevaricating congresswoman, might lose. There are less than 100 votes separating her and her Democratic opponent, Adam Frisch. He's a businessman. He's a former city councilman from Aspen. And that is great news, because those are the folks, those election deniers, coup participators, hardcore MAGA racists, Those are the ones that shouldn't even have their seats anyway because of being traitors to the United States. They should be disqualified from running, but for whatever reason, that's not happening. So they get to run again, and yay if the voters are willing to kick them out of office and, send them on their merry way. And this, I said to you before that this midterm election was very affirming for progressives. If you look at trends, even, in your local area, if you look at the national trends, the fact that Joe Biden's progressive moments, the things that he took up, like student loan forgiveness, helped propel him. All of the activism that men and women did around the overturning of Roe versus Wade and voting rights helped propel the Democrats. There's no question about it. And the fact that we have, according to Slate, a new version of the squad, even though the old squad is still there, and there may be a couple of squads in between, shows you that progressives continue to build, even though I would argue that the mainstream media, those cable news networks and even the mainstream newspapers, downplay that. For whatever reason, they tend to amplify the sort of centrist corporate Democrat line. That's what they do. They usually, just repeat the theories and talking points of the sort of centrist to mildly liberal wing of the Democratic Party, as opposed to the progressive forward wing of the party, where Medicare for all is at the top of the agenda. The pandemic wouldn't have been as deadly, it wouldn't have been as terrible if Medicare for all was in place, right? And that's the same thing for pandemics to come. Unnecessary deaths because people don't have coverage or they don't have access to ongoing care, so that their underlying conditions or pre-existing conditions are untreated, making them vulnerable to death or serious disease in the COVID sort of range of what can happen to you when you get it. I got COVID. It sucked. I hated it. But guess what? I'm really healthy. And I have health insurance. I go to a doctor. I take herbs. I work out. I eat healthy, mostly, if you don't count the occasional creme brulee. I mean, the point is, I'm blessed in that way, but many people in this country are not. So that means Medicare for all has to be on the agenda. That's part of one of these progressive platforms, right? As is a Green New Deal, a real serious investment in pushing back on the climate crisis so that we don't all die when we don't have a habitable planet, or live in a future where it is dystopian because of the impacts of the climate emergency, right? Constant floods, the temperatures like we saw this summer where you had 120 degrees. That's where we are now. Where does that trend line go in 10 years or 20 years if we don't get the climate crisis under control? That's why many of these progressives are younger and they are focused on the climate emergency. They're looking at their future and the future of their children and trying to leave a livable planet. Leave a livable planet. Well, guess what? Progressives continue to make gains. The ones that are there in Congress are staying, and new members are joining. And that's good news for people that care about saving the planet, people that care about everybody having health care, folks that want children to be fed through things like the child tax credit and other measures that we can take to make sure that our children, I mean, yes, around the world for sure, but our children in the United States should not be going hungry, and millions are every single day. So we've got some new faces, progressive faces in Congress. We talked a little bit about Maxwell Frost out of Florida, an Afro-Cuban, Afro-Latino, black Cuban out of Florida who became activated around gun violence in Florida. The terrible, terrible gun violence, but who is a young progressive and the youngest member of Congress at 25. But there are others. Illinois sent a young woman named Delia Ramirez as a representative. Greg Casar is from Texas. And Summer Lee, you know that name. Those 4 progressives are being labeled as the new squad. Now remember, we still have Ilhan Omar, we still have Ayanna Pressley, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we still have Rashida Tlaib, and remember, we still have Jamal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, Marie Newman, and Cori Bush. So that means every time more progressives win, they're not replacing the old ones. They're stacking the number of people that are willing to push the envelope to move this country forward. And these are big wins. This is the first time, well, last year was the first time that the Progressive Caucus in Congress was actually bigger than the New Democratic Caucus, which is the centrist, sort of semi-liberal wing. So for the first time last year, progressives made up a bigger number of folks in Congress, in the caucus, than moderates. And that's good news. It's good news for this country, especially right now when we see such extreme pushes in the other direction as well. So that means now we're adding 4 more progressives to that count. They're all young. All 4 of these new congresspersons are under 40. All of them are not white. And all of them are pushing hard on the progressive agenda. And so that's good news for progressives. This is the story beneath the story. Even if Republicans do take control of the House, which they very well may, and the Senate, which could happen too, you still see swelling ranks of progressives. And that's important for the policies that are put forth. That's important for how the Democratic Party moves, and what their majority decides are our priorities or the candidates that we'll back. And these candidates, these progressive candidates, this new squad, most of them got in a similar situation to what Congresswoman Karen Bass is dealing with here, which is massive spending to stop them from right-wing political action committees. Summer Lee from Pittsburgh was the one that, was the most notable in high-profile situation. She was stuck with a district that was less Democratic than before because of the gerrymandering that's been pulled off by Republicans there, and then a huge amount of money was spent to defeat her, to talk bad about her in the primary and the general election. But voters saw through that. This guy, Casar, he's a Latino from Austin, Texas. He was a city council member, and he was able to avoid, I guess, the massive spending that was used against others by avoiding some of the talking points, particularly when it comes to Israel, that some of the other folks got caught up in, targeted by. But the fact that these folks, Congresswoman, newly elected Congresswoman Ramirez, is coming out of Chicago, and she's the first Midwestern Latina ever elected to Congress, and she's a progressive. So for all these folks running around, the sky is falling, the Latina people are going to the right. Sure, some are. A lot of them were already there. If you're talking about Cubans and Venezuelans, when you're talking about Latino, that's a huge group of folks. It's, dozens of countries that fall under one label in the United States. So yeah, Venezuelans, they're going to be more, the ones here are going to be more right-wing because they're running away from a socialist country, or a country that has been off and on governed by socialists, even though it's a democratic country. And of course, Cubans have always been to the right, even though it's ironic that Maxwell Frost is a Afro-Cuban, and he's a progressive, right? Ramirez, I believe, is Chicana. I believe she's Mexican-American. And she's a progressive. And if you look to Los Angeles, you see a similar pattern with, folks like Hugo Soto Martinez and Eunesis Hernandez, who, Hernandez is in the city council. Martinez appears that he'll be in. And these folks are unapologetically progressive and are clear and solid allies to the African American community, not ever since the tape came out, but well before that, in standing together in protests during the 2020 situation, but also before that. You look at Kenneth Mejia, who's a tenants' rights activist, who's now the controller, although he is Filipino, not Latino. But the same pattern holds. These are young people, people of color, progressives who have been part of the movement. They are coming out of movement. They're movement candidates, and now they're sitting in Congress. This has got to make a huge difference. This is your good news for today. We've got news, traffic, and sports, speaking of news, and more on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Mike Moore, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In Middle Township, New Jersey, authorities are searching for a woman who placed stuffed animals in nooses over political signs promoting a black congressional candidate. The items were found hanging over a political sign for U.S. congressional candidate Tim Alexander. An investigation uncovered footage of a white woman with blonde hair getting out of a late model sedan. Alexander lost his bid to overcome 2nd District incumbent Jeff Van Drew. If the nation has a rail strike, it won't happen before Thanksgiving. 4 major rail unions have agreed to coordinate the date that they could go on strike. The Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way employees have been ready to strike as soon as November 20th, but the union announced on Wednesday it's agreed to extend negotiations with the railroad until at least December 4th. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore. 4/7 News source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Got the circulated in Seal Beach, 405 northbound before Seal Beach Boulevard. Carpool in 2 left lanes are closing. Traffic stops at Westminster Avenue, 22 westbound, also slow approaching the 405. In Silver Lake, they're looking for an accident, 101 northbound to Silver Lake Boulevard. That's got you jammed right at 4th Street. And in Santa Fe Springs on the 605 northbound or the I-5. They got that crash moved to the right-hand shoulder. It's still pretty tough stuff on the 105. In Anaheim, watch for vehicles stalled in the fast track lanes, 91 westbound at the 55 freeway. Watch for sudden slowing.
These days, there isn't enough easy to go around. So here's some. Meet Solo, the revolutionary single-seat commuter that makes EV easy. Easy to drive, easy to charge, and at under $19,000, easy to afford. It's even easy to order at drivesoloev.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers had more concerns than losing their 9th straight game to the Clippers last night. LeBron James went to the locker room with a possible groin injury with 5 minutes left in the game. The Lakers will know more after LeBron has an MRI today. LeBron had 30 points before he left. A sad development in the Brittany Griner situation. The WNBA star was transferred from a Russian jail to a prison colony where inmates are often forced to do hard labor. Griner's Russian attorneys have not been told of the colony's location. In August for alleged drug possession. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is in the concussion protocol. His status for Sunday's game against Arizona is uncertain. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call me your MVP.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here for KBLA Talk 1580. We're live in Los Angeles at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. And I'm speaking to some of the attendees today to see why it was so important for them to be here.
I find it important to be here as a business owner and entrepreneur because I want some more capital, and I'm not really a fan of loans. So it's really interesting to see how people have gained wealth and what different spaces to advance my money in, whether it be stocks, digital.
And why do you think it's important to promote building generational wealth in Black and brown communities.
I mean, it's important to me as one of the biggest banks in the world to promote Black wealth, because most banks don't really, in my opinion, care about the money that I'm spending as they would, opposed to a white counterpart that might have the same dollar amount in their accounts.
Well, you can bet on Chase offering insights on financial health, the path to home ownership, and entrepreneurship. It's the Chase Advancing Black Wealth Tour.
The Institute for Diversity Certification is all about the 3 Ds: dedication, determination, and discipline. Learn more about our globally recognized diversity certification program today by calling 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192. Or visit diversitycertification.org. As the #1 organization for certified diversity professionals and also certified diversity executive credentials, diversitycertification.org will provide an opportunity for you to demonstrate dedication to the field, determination to make progress, and more discipline to your process. Go today and learn more about the diversity certification system. Call 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192. DiversityCertification.org. That's DiversityCertification.org. The standard of excellence, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580. Connecting you with services and solutions. Stop the violence. Increase the Peace Foundation is a non-profit, community-based organization dedicated to fostering peace while mitigating violence in our society. Established in 1993, Stop the Violence, Increase the Peace has provided a wide variety of assistance to thousands of youth, families, and victims of violence over the past 3 decades, including intervention services, conflict and dispute resolution training, grief counseling, and victims advocacy. In addition, the foundation offers an array of classes focused on anger management, domestic violence, parenting, substance abuse, and more. To make a donation or to access services, call 323-445-8620. That's 323-445-8620, or visit www.increasethepeacefoundation.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We're not ratings driven. We're engagement driven.
All right, this is great. Call me 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. So, Kevin McCarthy, who's from California, where I live, wants to be the speaker. Of course, he's made that very plain, and he may get his wish, as it looks like Republicans will probably take over the House of Representatives, but he'll have a majority of 1 or 2, and he may not even get that opportunity. That, to me, is good news, just something to make you smile. One of my friends, who shall go unnamed, just texted me, what's going on with the sheriff's race? So let me just say to you something we said a little earlier, but can't say it enough. The vote counting is still going on. We will be counting votes till December 5th. And while it appears very, 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 very likely that former Long Beach Police Chief Robert Luna will be the new sheriff of LA County, it's not 100% certain. Luna is leading by quite a bit. It's a margin that would be pretty hard for Villanueva to overcome. That said, we're still counting votes, so we don't know. And that's why you're hearing different rumors. It's the same with the mayor's race. You know, people want to walk around acting like Caruso won. We have a tie. That will change as the votes are counted, as we've seen before. So we really don't know. We know that Measure A has passed. The Board of Supervisors will be able to fire the sheriff. We know that. It got 68% of the vote, and the majority of those votes have been counted. From what I can see, we don't know most of these other things. Unless if they win by a landslide, then they can project a winner. But for the most part, we're still counting. Yes, Governor Newsom won. He will be the governor again. Kulanaki's won. Shirley Weber, our Secretary of State, won. And Malia Cohen, which I don't think people were tracking as much, just an African-American woman going into statewide office, she also won. They are still counting in the sheriff's race. We don't know, but we have a really good idea. Yeah, I'm making faces because I'm on YouTube. In case you didn't know that, you can find us on YouTube every single day. KBLA 1580. We stream video while we broadcast terrestrial and also stream audio on our app. Hopefully you have it already. KBLA 1580, as in BLACK without the C and the K. KBLA 1580, and you can download it for free. So, yeah, I mean, that's good news. I like the fact that Mr. McCarthy is in suspense and may never become the speaker. But even if he does, he's going to be the speaker hanging on by a thread with a majority, tiny majority. Here's another palate cleanser for your brain about a bunch of artifacts, over close to 150 artifacts that were sacred to the Lakota Sioux people, First Nations people, are being returned to them. They were taken and put in a basement of a museum in Massachusetts where they sat for a century. Can you imagine your ancestors' sacred artifacts just in some dusty basement for 100 years? Sounds like a fairy tale in the creepy side of one. But anyway, the members of the Oglala Sioux and the Cheyenne River Sioux tribes went from South Dakota to Massachusetts to get their stuff back. Pipes, moccasins, clothing, weapons, and some of those items were linked all the way back to the 1890 Wounded Knee Massacre in South Dakota. The Founders Museum in Barre, Massachusetts had been holding on to those, and now they were transferred back to their rightful owners in a ceremony, what they call repatriation efforts. And I love this. To me, it's part of this whole movement of reparation, repatriation, atonement. When you do somebody wrong, it's not enough to just say sorry and keep it pushing, Councilmember De Leon. You have to make meaningful and significant efforts to repair that damage. And as District Attorney George Gascon shared with me when he was in here for an interview, the process of restorative justice is a collaborative process, meaning when the progressive district attorney and his team of prosecutors decide to use a restorative justice model instead of a traditional lock them up and throw away the key model, they're in conference with the victim. The victim has a say. There are prosecutors who work with the victims and say, okay, would you be all right with this person doing this instead of this? Having some kind of rehabilitative aspect to their sentence. So it's not in defiance of the victims, it's in collaboration with the victims, right? And that's what Kevin De Leon doesn't get. He says he's on a listening tour, but if he was really listening, he would know that black people are telling you to step down. I think Tavis Smiley made that abundantly clear on the radio, as have others, as has Black Lives Matter LA, which is following him everywhere he goes. And they're not alone. I mean, they're being joined by tons of indigenous, Latino or Latine groups. I've seen Asian Americans out at those protests, white folks, white people for Black Lives, and others. In a restorative justice model, you respect the wishes of the victims. In this case, the victims are Black Angelenos, Indigenous Angelenos, LGBTQ plus folks from LA, and all of them are saying, go away, resign now, Operation Resignation, go away. And then if you want to talk about, apologies and listening tours and healing, that's great. You don't need to stay in the city council to heal. And this Wounded Knee repatriation, the return of these sacred items, it's got to make the ancestors smile. It's the kind of thing that gives me a lot of optimism about where we're going as a planet, right? You're starting to see the return of African artifacts to Benin City and other places in Nigeria where they've been stolen from by these European and U.S. museums. They're starting to return those The fact that the Pope was up there in Canada saying, he was sorry to Native American First Nations, indigenous folks there. It's part of an arc, that arc of history that MLK was always quoting. The arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. And when we talk about bending towards justice, things like the return of these sacred artifacts, things like reparations moving forward in California at a brisk pace. The report is out. We will get recommendations for how to implement those reparations by the summer. The acknowledgement that restorative justice is a better way forward, and that it's not in defiance of victims, but in collaboration with victims to make everyone whole and hopefully rehabilitate people rather than throwing them away. All these things are part of the conversation about where we're going as a planet in terms of justice and what it means to really heal in a holistic way. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Governor Newsom not supporting making kindergarten mandatory. Maisha Cairo here. It's your K-Black Minute News. The office of Governor Gavin Newsom released a list of bills from the current legislative session that he both signed and those that he vetoed. Among the bills vetoed was Senate Bill 70, which would have made attending 1 year of kindergarten mandatory beginning the 2024 to 2025 school year. Existing California law does not require children to attend school until they are 6 years old, the age that children typically begin first grade. Kindergarten is reported to help level the playing field for children who are less likely to receive high-quality child care or preschool. Parents and community members, what are your thoughts on all this? I'd like to know. Tweet us at KBLA 1580 #KBlackMinute with your thoughts.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support in South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cow-cruise-news.com. That's cow-cruise-news.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Hi, I'm Sedarius Blaine, actor from the Jumanji movies, The Big Leap on Fox, Charmed, and more. I started an all-inclusive luxury travel club called Top Shelf Getaways that's now visited 14 countries in the last 2 years and counting. Now, we're rolling out our local staycations so you can experience the excitement and spirit of adventure that we're known for right here in Southern California. Starting November 11th, come join us for a celebration of excellence as we honor some of Hollywood's biggest legends at the W Hotel in Hollywood, California. Our staycation will feature live performers, private chef, as well as a private screening of Black Panther Wakanda Forever at the world-famous TCL Chinese Theater and an after party. Transportation from the hotel and overnight are included. November 12th will be our bottomless brunch pool party sponsored by El Cristiano Tequila. All of this for only $500 per person, $800 per couple, or select the locals rate to indulge in Friday night only. Follow us on Instagram or visit TopShelfGetaways.com to secure your tickets today. We can't wait to see you. And don't forget to wear your all-black cocktail attire.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
And I'm really proud of us all who got out and voted. And I know our KBLA delegation does not play around when it comes to that, and you made a big difference in so many of these races and conversations. Speaking of which, we're being joined now by philanthropist and businessman Austin Buettner, who was one of the main driving forces behind Proposition 28. Good morning, Mr. Buettner.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you today?
I'm great. I know you must be doing a bit of a victory dance.
Well, I'm pretty excited. We did it. A real high note for California public school students with the passing of Prop 28. This is, as we know, and you and I have spoken about this, arts are the glue which brings together literacy, math, and critical thinking to help students, not just in school, but in their life. And this is really a big step forward for public education. It will be the first guaranteed increase in funding for California public schools in more than 30 years.
That's
and
crazy.
It will become the largest. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really
It'll be the
crazy.
largest investment in arts and music in our nation's history. So this is really a good thing, and we're excited to pass. We're excited that voters joined the coalition and are making this a reality.
I was really shocked to learn that it's the biggest investment in arts and music ever in the whole country. That's crazy to me too.
Yeah, so without raising taxes, we're going to put $1 billion to work every year to help kids in schools around arts and music, and that's never been done before. And it's not just this coming school year, but each and every year thereafter. And all 6 million kids in California public schools are going to benefit. So it's a big, big day for California. It was only made possible because for the first time in a long, long time, not just teachers and school staff and the families and the students they served, they were joined by artists and entrepreneurs, along with business, labor, and community organizations to support public education. And maybe this is a new day for California where we can all continue to advocate for the best for kids in public schools. That would be tremendous.
Yeah, it's a good template, right, to sort of to launch another round of investment in our kids. The reason I was so shocked to hear it's the biggest investment in our nation's history in the arts is that the United States, one of our most successful and consistent exports is the arts.
Yeah, well, we think of ourselves here in California, right, the creative capital of the nation, if not the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for so long we've not invested. I'm sure every year you talk with your listeners about the battle in Washington over funding of the National Endowment for the Arts, where the federal government leans into the topic. That's only about $200 million a year. That's less than a fifth of what we're doing just in California. We're going to do this forever. So it's a good start. I hope this becomes not just something that helps California public school kids, but maybe the other 49 states take notice and we recognize in a country that we're underinvesting in creative thinking, the skills and the learning that come with participating in the arts, how to make people whole by participating in the arts. It's going to benefit kids, but I think it's going to benefit California more broadly, and I hope it becomes something that the rest of the nation wants to follow.
Yeah, I think Measure 28 got something like 66% of the voters. I know that's not a final tally. But for me, I thought it should have been like 99%. I was surprised that anyone voted against this. It had no opposition. I mean, I'm glad it did really well, but I felt like it should have done even better.
Well, you need both, but you can look at the math. So take 100%, take 25% off the table for people who will just vote no against chocolate ice cream. They'll vote no against anything.
Yeah, that's true.
The nature of sometimes when people look at the ballot. So we got 65 out of 75. 66 out of 75, and that's closer to your 90. So those who took the time to think about it, they all voted overwhelmingly yes. And the crotchety uncle in the attic who will vote no against anything, well, they exist, and we respect their rights, and we're glad they voted. We're certainly happier that two-thirds of people in California recognized how important this is.
It's funny, though, because you're right. I mean, I had people calling in here saying, I just vote no on all the propositions to play it safe. So it's, folks that don't do the research many times. When will we feel this? When will it impact the students in the classroom?
The exciting thing is this coming school year. So, school community can wake up this morning knowing exactly how much money is coming to their school for the next school year. They should start planning for it. Next school year, July of next summer, August of next fall, there will be additional funds at their school to hire teachers and school staff and have an extra arts program that wasn't there before. So we're going to see an immediate impact, which is kind of exciting.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, congratulations to you, Austin Buettner, and to all of the folks, as you mentioned, the Coalition of Artists and Activists and others, lawmakers who pushed this through. Anything else we should know about this?
Well, this is the feel-good story, and this is how I believe ballot initiatives, voter-led initiatives are meant to work. There's no ginormous corporation or a bunch of billionaires behind this one. This one was the power of the people, and I'm glad the people spoke volumes, and we're very, very grateful for so many people who came out and support and helped get this one over the goal line.
Austin Buettner, thank you so much for checking in with us this morning, and congratulations.
Thanks for having me.
This is KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where we turn red lights to green lights and keep it moving.
Show them who we are.
KBLA Talk 1580 has not one, but two Black Panther Wakanda Forever weekend giveaways for KBLA Talk 1580 listeners. Friday, November 11th starts your weekend with a private screening of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, dinner for two, and an overnight stay at the W Hotel Hollywood. On Saturday, be our guest to the KBLA Wakanda Forever brunch and pool party. Win a KBLA Wakanda Forever weekend at the W Hotel Hollywood. It's simple to enter. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app and enter to win. Two winners will be announced Thursday, November 10th. Listen to KBLA Talk 1580 to find out if you will experience the KBLA Talk 1580 Wakanda Forever weekend, starting Friday, November 11th at the W Hotel Hollywood. Black Panther Wakanda Forever private screening, dinner for two, overnight stay at brunch and pool party on Saturday. Download the KBLA app and enter to win the KBLA Talk 1580 Black Panther Wakanda Forever weekend. Black Panther Wakanda Forever opens November 11th in theaters nationwide, but there's only one way to win the KBLA Talk 1580 Black Panther Wakanda Forever weekend. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app and enter to win. The KBLA Talk 1580 Black Panther Wakanda Forever weekend is sponsored by Top Shelf Getaways.
Only the most broken people can be great leaders.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell. You know, the fries covered in bold Mexican spices you dip in a warm nacho cheese sauce. You can also dunk them in nacho cheese sauce or pour the sauce onto a pile of them and create like a nacho fries nachos. The thing is that you eat them with nacho cheese sauce. That's what makes them nacho fries. Otherwise, you're just eating fries and sipping on nacho. Wrong way. Hey. Sorry. Just really passionate about nacho fries.
Nacho fries are back. Only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations where limited supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation with fair.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
You belong here, and I'm so glad you are here, and I hope you'll tell a friend. Hope you'll follow our socials. Look, these are the things. We're talking about small business here, which is what KBLA Talk 1580 is, recycling black dollars. If you got something you're trying to get the word out on, maybe you want to come advertise with us, we will find a way to fit your budget. And all these things are the things that we do when we support each other. I was so stunned to find out as part of that public information survey done by Eviterus, which found us to be the most reliable, the most credible news and information source for Black LA, Black California, and beyond. I was honored by that. Thing that surprised me about it was that I didn't realize there were only 5 Black-owned talk radio stations in the whole nation, and we're the only one west of the Mississippi. So if you enjoyed having a different source of information during elections where you could get unfiltered conversation, where you could have a Black progressive perspective, if you enjoyed our public safety forum or any of the things that we've been doing this election cycle, in which we will continue to do, addressing every crisis, every opportunity that comes up, we ask that you support us by following us on every social media platform. We're at KBLA 1580. If you're not late for work and you have time to take out your phone right now, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and we even have a YouTube channel, KBLA 1580. We'd love for you to subscribe to that and to stream with us. We're streaming every morning now. Yes, I'm wearing hot pink. Every single morning, we're actually all day long now, we're streaming our shows on YouTube at KBLA 1580. And you can just click over there, or you can click from the app, click on KBLA TV, boom, it'll take you right to our video stream. And I have my own, by the way. My YouTube channel is Dominique B. DiPrima. The B is for Baraka. Thought you knew. Please subscribe. I only got 3 subscribers. You could be number 4. Something like that. I'm not sure. And also on all the social medias, on Twitter, Instagram, I'm at DiPrima Radio. On Facebook, it's First Things First with Dominique DiPrima. That actually, believe it or not, really does make a difference. It gives us critical mass and helps us to counteract all of the built-in obstacles that are there for black businesses, for black-owned businesses, black students. It's called systemic racism. Give us a minute. We're working on it. Wanted to remind you that the film Corsicana is at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza Cinemark. It's actor Isaiah Washington's directorial debut, and we're trying to support, speaking of black-owned business, this truly independent film and all of the artists behind it. Go see a movie. It's a good movie. Just get you some popcorn and see the story of Bass Reeves and the first oil fields in Texas. It's Corsicana, and it's playing right now at the Cinemark in Baldwin Hills. Look, I'm looking forward to the conversation with Jasiri X, artist, hip-hop artist, and activist. That's our daily deep dive today on KBLA Talk 1580.